This is absolute filth. I mean, can you ever imagine sitting down opposite a grandmaster opponent rated nearly 3,000 on chess.com, playing this in the opening, g3 followed by h5, your grandmaster opponent develops a knight and you just keep pushing the pawn, and then to make matters better you go on to destroy them in 23 moves. This is utterly ridiculous. What is Magnus Carlsen doing to these guys? Now, this is titled Tuesday, 30th of January 2024. It's the early edition. The clock times are on the left, 3 minutes each plus 1 second back per move. That's called increment. And check this one out. Magnus just breaking every opening principle. His opponent, by the way, is Cristobal Henriquez Villagra, a Chilean grandmaster. And after the knight takes here, Magnus takes the centre with a pawn. It's his third pawn move, but he's not done yet. He's halfway there because we get d4, he takes, knight f3, not yet recapturing with the queen, although that was playable. And now Magnus doesn't try and hold on to the material. He calmly develops, best move, but it's yet another pawn push. Knight recaptures and c5. Magnus's first 6 moves are all pawn pushes. Who needs the rules of chess, right? Who needs to develop pieces? Who needs to save a pawn here? He does what he wants. How does this guy go down from this position in the next, 18 moves or whatever it is? 17. Ridiculous. Now, something to say for Magnus's position. Well, he does have good central control for the pawn, but no two ways about it. Bishop g2, knight f6, bishop g5. He's worse in this position, down material. Now, this is a nice one. There's no h6 to kick it away. So Magnus, he breaks that pin. We get castles, bishop e6, and now the moves I'm drawing on the board here, those are the preferred ones of the Silicon Overlord, aka the chess computer engine here. That's what it wants to do. Look for some kind of pawn break here or here. But knight c3 was played. Watch the evaluation bar plummet back down. Not enjoying that one, because now you walk straight into this one. Pawn to d4, quick as a shot. Magnus sees it and plays it. He's gaining yet more space. And the best move is to backpedal with the knight and then come to d2, the square where that piece belongs. But what was played instead was bishop takes on f6. This is Cristobal's point. He wants bishop recaptures, then you get knight e4, hitting the bishop, and you go pawn h4 to secure the knight. Prepare knight g5 if f5. But Magnus, he's seen deeper. He takes with the g pawn. Now this knight should retreat here, right? But it comes into e4 anyway. This is different, however. Magnus knows when to double the pawns, when not to, because in this particular position, that doubled f-pawn helps. You can drive it forward now, kick this knight, and it's no time to come to g5, or it's not got enough time to come there, because you haven't yet played h4 to secure the square. So it retreats meekly back home. The meagre traveller sent back home to mum and dad. f4 now played, looking to rip open the king side. Magnus full on attacking here, half a pawn better almost. How does he do this stuff? So c3 played to undermine the centre. It is a good move. Magnus takes on g3, and now typically you're taught to recapture towards the centre. That's a chess principle. But after queen d7, we see the problem here. With the h-file already opened, in combination with this battery, there's a huge attack coming once you trade off the bishops. So f recaptures played. Opens the king, not ideal, but keeps a better defensive construction with this file open. Queen b6 from Magnus, he eyeballs b2, also spraying down in this direction towards the weakened king. So white takes on d4, and now great play by Magnus. More initiative chess, he just castles the king, gets it to safety, and activates his second rook, eyeballing the white queen. Always nice to x-ray it from afar, and that's why this second pawn was not captured. You activate this bishop with check, you activate the rook, and look at the dark square damage that this bishop is prepared to do. You know, white's got no counterpart there, black is having fun, not good. So, we didn't see the pawn captured. Instead, the move king h1 was played, but it's not the best. Rook c1, more precise. Come opposite the king. Prepare knight c4. But this one played, okay, steps off the diagonal, but steps into a new x-ray from that rook. We now see a great move from Magnus, you know, not touching the pawn here. He could have taken it, but he sidesteps with the king, just keeping the tension, turning the screw, and white hangs themselves in this position with a series of bad moves. What should be played? Well, rook c1, still a good one. Queen e1, also nice, coming onto some dark squares, doing some defense. But queen c1 played. Why is this so bad? Well, knight takes on d4 now comes. You're threatening to take this pawn, which is no longer defended by the queen from here or here. And there's an even worse thing at the end of the tale, because now white goes terribly wrong. You know, they want to give this pawn and activate the knights here, get some play going, but it's done in the wrong way. Knight e4 was the best way. Yes, you give a pawn, but then the queen can actually activate up into the game, for example, to e3, and you get some play, material level. But knight c4 played, and it's terrible. Yes, you hit the queen, but this knight is now vulnerable. It's already targeted by the bishop. The queen drops back to c7, and now after knight takes on d4, everything unravels, because rook takes was played, recapturing and hitting this knight, but there's a second problem. How do you save the knight and deal with this threat? This was the thing with knight c4. You encourage the queen to a great square, and it's vulnerable on this one. Black's about to crash through here. This pawn's not really covering, of course. It's pinned. What to do? There's nothing. If you try and sidestep with the king here, well, then the knight drops. So we see this knight stumble back to d2. Magnus crashes through here. He's threatening checkmate in one move, so the knight has to cover. This is move 23. How to finish the game here? You need to remove the defender or pile on the pressure on this indefensible square. And here Cristobal resigned after 23 moves. Brutal. Why did he resign? Well, say you sidestep with the king to run away. Here black can crash through regardless. You know, you don't have to take with the knight, but then the attack rumbles on. If you take with the knight, well, this is the kind of king hunt that can ensue. Different lines, but all roads lead to Rome. The king's getting hunted to checkmate. What a game from Magnus. This system is just absolutely immense. And here on screen are the final results of the tournament. Magnus clinches it as usual. What a player. And if you've not yet seen the original version of this game, where Magnus plays the same system, wins in a ridiculous number of moves, then check out the video on screen. Thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.